Hey guys, welcome back. This short video, I'm going to show you how I sharpen my chainsaw chains. There are different ways to do it, and this is the way that I like to do it. I like to take a big vise, and I like to take my chainsaw chain off of the chainsaw and stick it in the vise like this. And the vise doesn't move, and the chain is locked in here, and it does not move. There's no wiggle room in that. And that's how I like to have my chains steady when they're sharpened. So I know a lot of people will sharpen the chainsaw on the chainsaw itself. You know, sharpen the chain on the chainsaw. They'll take the bar and clamp that in the vise. But I prefer to actually take it off. I mark with a Sharpie where I start. So this is the link that I am starting with, and I'm working down, and basically you go down every other link or every other tooth one way, and then you flip it around and do the same the other until you come back to your marked tooth. And this chain actually has, you can see right there, it has a marking that's a 30-degree angle to the tooth up here. So this is meant to be filed at a 30-degree angle. And let me show you how I like to file it. So the way I like to do it is I like to take, I have a guide. So you can see this is a steel chainsaw guide with the correct size file in it. And you can see here 30-degree angled markings. And so if you look, if you take, let me see if I can show you. So I like to line that 30-degree mark up with the vise so that it is parallel with the vise like that. And then I just run the file across one way like that. And that guide really helps me. A lot of people do that, you know, do this free-handed without the guide. I like to have the file in the guide. So that I can see what I'm doing. And so I just take it and I line it up and I run it across, and I'm pushing back towards the back of the tooth. I'm not pushing down, I'm not pushing up. You don't want to give the tooth a hook. You don't want the tooth to be too perpendicular here. You want it to be just right, so you want to just push backwards like that. And you want to keep the guide and the file as level as possible. You know, just going one direction like that. And just this vise will fit 3 teeth at a time, so I'll do 3 teeth like that, and then I'll loosen the vise and slide it down. 3 teeth, or 3 every other teeth, 6 teeth I guess. So I just do that. I don't really count the strokes or anything like that. I just file away any, you know, any gouges or nicks or anything like that in the tooth, and you know, I kind of leave it at that. So after I do that, then what I usually do is the rakes here. So I take my guide and I place it over the tooth, and I just visually inspect if it's sticking up at all. And I don't like to run the file over the guide, because that wears the guide down. You're eventually going to be filing too much of the rake away, or the depth stop away. So if it's sitting just a little bit proud, I'll take it away and I'll just file it slightly, and I'll use a rounding motion like that, because the rake is you know, rounded. And I'll come back and I'll look, and that's just about perfect. So that is how I file my chainsaw chains. I used to take it to a local place to have them sharpened, and they do it on a machine, and I feel like the chain gets too hot. Like I've seen a little bit of bluing on the teeth when I've gotten it back from them, and I feel like it dulls a lot quicker than if I do it by hand. So I'm not knocking the machine. I used to, have it done by machine all the time. It's just that I don't think that it does quite as good a job as if you hand file it in a vise with a guide. And every once in a while, I like to loosen this and rotate the guide so that I'm not using the same spot on the file over and over and over again. I'm sure that if I did this more often and I practice a little bit more, I could do this without the guide, but I like the guide there because it's very clear what angle you're filing at. And sometimes there's a little bit of, can knock it off, a little bit of curl over on the metal. Usually not too bad. And smooth, even strokes. And when you are at the end of your stroke, you want to pull away and lift up. You don't want to drag it across the sharp cutting edge of the tooth like that. So you want to straight, even stroke, away and up. That's how I do it. Okay, that's all there is to it. And when you're filing your rake, you want to make sure to stay away from the tooth. You don't want to hit the tooth and dull that. Okay? And you don't want to file your rake too low either, because then your tooth is going to catch too much wood, is going to get taken on every bite, and that's, the chainsaw can do bad things if that were to happen. It could bog down, it could bind up, it could at worst maybe kick back. Probably not, but you don't want to file these too low. You don't want to strain the motor or put any undue stress on all the pieces and everything like that. So I use a gauge. Use the gauge when adjusting your rake depth. So 4K close-up of the teeth, you can see how the round file fits in there. I don't know, probably not going to be able to get you to see it, but it fits right in that notch. So a rounded notch right there, it fits right in. And again, the reason why you don't want to push up or push down is you want to keep that notch round, and you don't want this edge, this sharp edge, to have a hook in it, because that can actually, that's probably dangerous if that catches. And you don't want it to be too vertical, because then it's not going to cut very well. So you want to push backwards when you're filing.